Thokozani bogogo, thokozani bomkhulu enhla nasenzansi empumalanga nasentshonalanga. Ngithathe le thuba ngibingelele. Today I want to talk about this topic about MNDAWE. Ngeke ngakhuluma ngeMNDAWE, kodwa namhla I want to talk about them on another level. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Silindza, SIYINDUNI, and also on TikTok is also Silindza, and also on Facebook you can also follow me, Themba Silindza. Ngiyatholakala khona lapho, and you can share anything that I talk about so that other people will learn about it. The topic is a bit controversial because kunalabantu abakhulumako. Most of my topic I took them from what people they ask me to talk about, and also from what I hear people talk about. Kunabantu abaningi who have accused people, maybe ufane ukuthi ungumSuthu or ungumXhosa or umZulu, but accuse ukuthi why uTWASA idlozi lebandawe, because idlozi lebandawe it's a foreign spirit. Why uyabona as if wonile ngekuthi uhambe uyothwasa idlozi lebandawe. Why uthwasa idlozi lebandawe? Idlozi lebandawe, obviously, let me just say, idlozi elikhulu kakhulu lelo, especially uma kufika kwezokulapha, idlozi lemakhosi ene idlozi elikhulu kakhulu uma ukhuluma ngedlozi lebandawe, and everyone wants to be associated neMNDAWE la ebunyangeni. Everyone wants to be associated neMNDAWE, but they don't want to be associated with MNDAWE, the people. They want to be associated with MNDAWE, the spirit. We know that MNDAWE are people who are mostly found, you can mostly find them throughout the Southern Africa, even in even in lepha ku New Zealand kukhupukekele na uyawathola amandawe. They are also there. Amandawe is a very big nation. You know, when Belungu they come into Africa, they analyzed black people before they attacked black people. Black people were analyzed first before they were attacked. It means before they were colonized, they were analyzed. You know, in Africa, there were some other nations which were very big and powerful, and they made sure that they dismantle those nations, and those people they are scattered and spread so that they cannot join together and make the empire. MNDAWE they were even involved in the Mtapa kingdom. You see, they have got been involved because MNDAWE are found throughout the whole of Southern Africa. The unfortunate thing which people they don't know is that most of black people they have lost their identity. Most of the people they don't know who are they and what are they. You see, that's one of the critical thing that is happening among us black people, because we have lost our identity. We don't know exactly who we are exactly. Exactly who we are. You see, during the advent of colonization, most of the nation were spread. You see, like in my case, most people they know me as a Swazi, but in reality, I'm not a Swazi, because when you talk of a Swazi doesn't even have a history. I don't think it goes even 100 years of history. When you just search of Swazi, the people were not even called Swati in 100 years. And most of what people they call themselves with these days, it's what was invented by the colonizers, and it's what is not even known in their spirituality. No, there are people who are Abandawe these days. As I've said, that most of the people they would like to associate themselves with the Ndawe as the spirit, but they hate the people of Abandawe, and you find that the people themselves they are MNDAWE, but they are not aware which they are MNDAWE. And because after all, let me put it this way. You see, a person is made of about 4 ancestors which are there. You have got the surname from your grandfather, you have a grandfather, father's side, a surname from your grandfather, mother's side, and you have got a surname from your grandmother, mother's side, a surname from your grandmother, father's side. And these are 4 surnames. Even behind them, there are surnames that linked there. And that's where your ancestral spirits can come. Because when you talk about ancestral spirit, they don't possess you. But what normally happens with them, you are born with those spirits. Those spirits, you are born with them, but they don't possess you. You are born with them. They are within your genes. Those spirits, they are within your genes. So there are people who I've heard so many people saying, "Hey, you can't TWASA MNDAWE while we're TWASA. You can't TWASA MNDAWE while we're Sotho." Most of us, we are misplaced because of colonization. It made us to be misplaced. You know, today I speak Isiswati as if it's my mother tongue, but in reality I'm a Tonga. I'm coming from the Baronga, which means I would be speaking Sironga, Isironga, or is Tonga. That's the language that I was supposed to be speaking. But because of being misplaced by colonization, we find ourselves moving from one place to another until our identity is being confused, whereby we are confused with our identity. You know, that's one of the things that will make Africa to never develop. Because first of all, in order for one to develop, one must know the identity. Who are you? You see, because there are people who are MNDAWE, but today they are classified as Sotho. And there are people who are MNDAWE, today they are classified as Zulu. There are people who are called MNDAWE, today they are classified as Swati. There are people who are called MNDAWE, today they are classified as Tswana. But those people, they are not even aware about it because we have lost our identity. And sometimes you find that within your gene, there are those who are MNDAWE or who are MNDAWE within your gene because they are part of your formation, those people. And you may find that maybe from your grandmother's side, they are MNDAWE. Because these days, you will find a person who doesn't even know the history or of the genealogy of his family beyond the grandmother. The person doesn't know, but will say, "How can I TWASA MNDAWE? Because I've got nothing to do with MNDAWE." But the person doesn't even know that even within the lineages, there's a possibility that they are MNDAWE. Because, and during this thing, during this thing of migration, some people coming to South Africa for work, so many things have happening. Some MNDAWEs, they mix because in fact there's supposed to be a kingdom today that is called MNDAWE Kingdom, but such is not happening because it was destroyed by the whites. They destroyed that powerful nation so that it cannot exist, so that they won't exist, and they formed their own nation. Most of the nations that we have now, they don't have roots. That's why I'm saying even when it comes to Swazi, this thing doesn't even have roots. That's why when you talk about people now they'll say, "Hey, Swazi people are formed by Abanguni, Baronga, and Basotho." What sort of the thing? Because we are talking of a nations here. When you're talking of Abanguni, that is a nation. And then when we are talking of Baronga, that's a nation. When you're talking of Abasotho, that's a nation. Then you say now you put those people into one pot and form a nation. And then who did that? Who put these people into one pot to form a nation? It was the whites, because most of the countries And most of our identity was lost after the Berlin Conference in 1884. That's where most of the things, when the European came to Africa to divide the countries for themselves, and our people, they spread from one another, from one place to another, and then until they make sure that we lost our identity. Because like us, I'm coming from Baronga. We find ourselves in the place now that is called Eswatini. We find ourselves there now. We are losing what we are, and there are so many Baronga who doesn't even know that they are Baronga. And Baronga people are highly related. They are brothers with the MNDAWE people. They are brothers with the MNDAWE people. The spirituality of the Baronga and the spirituality of the MNDAWE, it's the same spirituality, because they used to have same God, because they are coming from one man. These people, they are coming from one man. Same maybe with the Kalanga also, they are coming from one man. You see, that's why you will find, even when you talk about these people, Emaswati, like they say, they are formed from Baronga, and they are formed from Besutu and Nguni. The section of the king, like King Mswati, that one is the section of the Baronga. And most of the things today that we call it, that normal, when you call it amasiko esiswati, and those things are mostly Baronga. And you who has been converted from being a Sutu, and now you find yourself being called a Swati, then you think you will be prosperous, because you are not even practicing what belongs to you, but you are practicing what belongs to Baronga. Because most of Emasiko that we today are called is Swati, that is Baronga, because the Baronga become the dominant section of the formation of the white. Because what normally the whites does, they will recognize and choose some certain individual when they come to the place and put those people on top, and then name that nation under those people. Like we know that they once even identified Soshangane, the Portuguese, they identified Soshangane there and started to name the people by Soshangane and assist him to colonize the people that he found in Mozambique. Today, most people, they know that in Mozambique, there has never been there like that. In Mozambique has got so many nations that are there. There are so many nations there, even Bachopi, but so many nations that are found there. But those nations were colonized to lose their identity. So by losing our identity, we find ourselves not knowing exactly who we are. So many people are calling themselves Zulu these days. They are not Zulu, those people. They have got, some they are Banguni, but they are calling themselves Zulu because they were conquered by the Zulu. You see, and some people, they think their ancestors will be happy when they are calling themselves with the name of those who conquered or who killed their ancestors, which it's very bad. We have even such instances, even in Eswatini, where the section of the Baronga, there are people whom they conquered, who were people who were supposed to be the kings, who were the rightful kings of the place. That's why today they talk of Emakhanzambili, which means the people who were found there, who were originally there, Emakhanzambili. But today, Emakhanzambili, they are being ruled by those who came after, you see. So we lost our identity, and when we lost our identity, we don't even know who we are. So it's not strange when you see a Sutu ahamba ayo TWASA MNDAWE. It's not strange, because that person might be possibly has got genes for abandawo. When you see a TWASA going to ahamba ayo TWASA Isindawo, it's not something that is strange, because that person might have the genes, because some people, they are calling themselves TWASA, but when you find that most of those names, they are not originally, even most of these names, they came after the whites have come. You see, when you talk about maybe Japanese, they will tell you that we have got a history as Japanese of 2,000 years. When you talk about Chinese, I was listening to another Chinese minister. He was saying that we as Chinese, we have got a history of 5 years, of over 5,000 years existing as Chinese. But when it comes to Africa, most of Africans, they've got no history of existence. When you want to search their history of existence is just not even more than 250 years. You see, that's why even their countries, they are called, it's something that even doesn't even have a history. You see, because even when you talk about those things are things that existed after 1884. Most of what Africans are calling themselves with is things that were not existing before 1884, and it's things which their forefathers, they don't even have no idea about them, because I myself, my forefathers, they never called themselves Swati. They never called themselves Swati, but they know themselves as Baronga. That's what they used to be, and they've got a history of that we can tell the history of the Baronga people. Where do Baronga people come from, and what is happening about the Baronga? They've got their story of creation, which is different even from the story of the Bible, which is Adam and Eve. You see, which is a different story. Because if you don't know where you come from, you won't even know where you are going. If you don't even know your identity, because Africans have lost their identity. Like today, we find something called a Mozambican. There's nothing called a Mozambican here. There has never been something called a Mozambican, but it's a creation of the whites. There's nothing called a South African, a black South African. You hear South Africa say the native South African. There's nothing called native South African. The first people to be South African are whites, not black people. Black people, they were either Nguni, they were something else, but they are not native to South African, because even the IDs that called South African, they were given by the whites. It's not something that comes from them, but they were given a citizen of being South Africans by the whites. Whites who are the people who built and created South Africa. Those are the people who are the owners of South Africa, because they created South Africa. Unfortunately, the people, they don't want to study history and read. South Africa was created by the whites for the whites. So our identity was lost because of all those things. Our identity, we lost our identity. We lost who we are. So that's why again, we will find MNDAWE has spread, and because the Bandawe people, they spread throughout Africa. They spread. That's why today you can find even an Indian person who has got Abandawe. That it does happen, but it's a story for another day to explain how such things happen. But Abandawe people, they are spread even in India. You can find Abandawe because that's a very big and powerful nation of kings, which they had a very strong spirituality that was destroyed by the arrival of the whites here. So it's not as strange when you see a Zulu, a Sotho, a Tsonga, a what are manifesting Ubundawe, because they've got the genes. The genes are there. Let's remember that a spirit you are born with, it's not that a spirit it infiltrates you, but you are born with the spirit, and then the spirit lives in you. Don't forget to subscribe in my YouTube channel, Silindza, for more and more topic. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and also follow me on TikTok, Silindza.